And contrary to my video regarding why I love Blue Archive, let's talk about why I like Genshin. I have dedicated quite a lot of time and quite a lot of money into both of these games and have vastly different experiences and separate instances about things that I like and things that I dislike in both. I've mentioned numerous times that to me Blue Archive's strong suit has always been the characterization, and that is still true to this day. I do believe Blue Archive, out of all of the gacha games that I played, has the best characterization, and that's what I love about it. Genshin, for me, it was a mixture originally of the world, the story, the lore, and the characters alongside the gameplay, but over time a lot of that has fallen off. Genshin has wonderful cutscenes when it chooses to make them. Genshin has a wonderful open world that you can explore, and I do love that because it allows me to find out information for myself. But I mentioned time and time again that Genshin chooses to display its lore in multiple formats. It will either info dump and tell you it in 6 to 7 paragraphs during one quest. It will hide it in books, it will hide it in weapons, it will hide it and put it in so many different avenues that it's very difficult to piece it together on your own because there is no consistency. Games such as Dark Souls rely on the environment and the weapons and artifacts, i.e. the items you use, the equipment, the throwable objects, the weapons themselves, the armor, to explain the lore. And whilst they may have occasional tidbits mentioned here and there, nothing is explicitly said. This means that developers can put all their time into writing out a good story and good lore into those weapons because they know how the player is going to read them. The Witcher series, despite having multiple games, doesn't necessarily show all of it at once. You have lore put here and there, and a lot of it pertains to the present day, but a lot of the backstory and information on the world itself is in books. It's told through older characters, optional things, and all the information you're being told is usually presented to you as fact. With Genshin, because there's so many different tales and interpretations, and because of the way the game is made, you have multiple contradictions. An example is, we previously had instances of the Dendro Archon being referred to as male, not the female. It seems like a small change, but it is a change nonetheless. One that, realistically, if they chose to do it on a much wider scale, could affect pretty much everything. You subsequently have different instances where Yoimiya was apparently, at least, supposed to be from Liyue. Yaimiko was supposed to use the Shimenawa's Remnants artifact set, and with each of these things, the lore becomes more and more convoluted and messy because nothing is set in stone. And either whether you're reading books or hearing tales from individuals, the game would like to put or throw into your face that it all could be fictional. For example, Zhongli explored Liyue during the previous Lantern Rite and discussed and disproved a bunch of the legends and rumors regarding him. Now, on a simple note, this is fine because it does bend and lend some credence to certain tales and certain stories, but it also means that a lot of the information we have as a unit, as a character, is off because there's no guarantee it was ever spoken or true in the first place. This is even more difficult to discuss because the Traveler themselves, the main character you canonically are supposed to be playing as, isn't you. They have more information on the world than you do, so you're not experiencing anything in line with another character. You're just a narrator, an outside perspective that isn't really involved in this story because ultimately this is Paimon's story, and then the Traveler's a side character, and then you're the watcher. And it means that the story has a disconnect, at least in my opinion. So the lore and the story is not necessarily the strong suit anymore. But Genshin does still have amazing gameplay. It has amazing character design, though some of them are getting a bit samey. I mean, I think Kali, the Dendro character, looks a bit like Sucrose mixed up with Eula, but hey, that's whatever. Genshin chooses not to use new models, who cares? It's not like we're 2 years into the game or anything. With all of that being said, the difficulty with a lot of these things is that Genshin seems keen on taking a character's gameplay or lore and improperly, nothing's balanced, and that's my biggest thing. Sure, you have units that are amazing in Blue Archive, but you have a incentive to pull for everyone or pull for the ones you like. I mean, consider this. I pulled for Azuna knowing she's not meta, and I don't necessarily need a meta character to get to the end game, but the experience itself and Blue Archive and Genshin is drastically different. Once my stamina is out in Blue Archive, what I'm essentially left with is relationship stories, my cafe, the storyline itself, sub-stories, and club stories. Now, all of these stories are very, very interesting. They do give a lot of lore and information on certain units you may love, and I like that because it means that despite me not having the ability to farm or to grind for something, I can still experience and interact with characters that I enjoy. and those interactions are not surface level. It's not the game saying, hey, watch this or play this mission out where the characters vastly or occasionally talk during it. It's an actual relationship storyline that's dedicated to either one unit or units related to one another or something important. Whereas with Genshin, the moment my resin runs out, I'm left with either running around endlessly killing mobs for their loot, I'm left to either run around in my teapot and build it up, or read character voiceovers that really don't have any substance because they're not really animated. They just talk and there's no substance or interaction between units. For instance, there's nothing that points to an interaction between Zhongli and Venti or Zhongli and Raiden that you really see on screen. There's nothing that points to an interaction between Xiao and Ganyu after that one quest. So ultimately what you're left with is characters that are canonically connected to one another, but once you actually get them, seemingly have no interactions, connections, or reason to discuss or talk to each other. So Genshin has the gameplay, but that's about it. Genshin has the graphical style, but that's about it, and that graphical style is beginning to feel a bit samey. Blue Archive has the characterization, and really puts a lot of effort into that characterization, into that story, to make it reasonably easy to understand. I will be summarizing Blue Archive's story, but I'm trying to get it into a decent sized video, so I apologize for the delay with that one. Keep in mind, I don't hate Genshin Impact. I will be making a separate video about my issues with Genshin, my issues with Blue Archive, my issues with Arknights, etc. But I think it's perfectly reasonable to enjoy a game, to want to put time and effort into it, and then subsequently also feel the need to criticize it, because criticism isn't necessarily a lack of love. It's usually criticism coming from a place in which you look at the game or you look at the item or material that you do enjoy and want it to be better. I like Genshin. I play Genshin. I consistently do log on, do my commissions, play new events, I even do the world quests, but I do want Genshin to be better, and I think that's perfectly fair. I like both of these games. Blue Archive excels in character and storytelling, Genshin excels in the gameplay, and to a degree it actually displays the characters themselves and their personalities through their gameplay. I just wish it did it slightly better outside of that, because outside of that there is no interaction that we visibly see between units. Outside of quests, there's no replayability. At least Blue Archive gives you the option to replay old relationship quests, to replay old story quests. You have that option altogether. And even event quests, you can still go back and you can look over the story and the scenes that played out before you. That is there and available to you. Genshin does not. Subsequently meaning that if, let's say, you picked up the game in February of this year, and maybe you played throughout the entirety of February, and you played in March, but you skipped April, you skipped May, and you skipped the whole of June, and now you're coming back in July. Well, consider this, any of the events that may have occurred that could have had story content you missed out on, and subsequently, even if you can't get the rewards, there should be an option for you to replay the cutscenes to understand, to read the dialogue. We have the dialogue in an archive, but dialogue doesn't hit the same when you can't visibly at least see or hear the characters talk. That is just my opinion. If you have a different one, I'd love to hear it down in the comment section below. I'll try and keep up with more uploads more frequently, and I do hope to discuss more than just story-related content. So you may be seeing different styles on this channel, and I hope you stick around and enjoy those. Either way, my name's been Shikai. If you did indeed enjoy, consider subscribing to the channel, as that would be greatly appreciated. I want to reach at least 5,000 subs this year by the end of it. And I do hope to see you next time. Goodbye.